Hey y'all, thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk to you today about the phrase morally lucky because it's happened again. Every 3 months on the internet, you'll have someone talk about how they were a bad kid, how they said or did awful things in their youth, and they grew up and have changed. But that's not enough for some people. You have to be this perfect saint from birth, sinless, guiltless, things like that is apparently what some people expect of you out there. So you have this phrase, morally lucky. Basically, what this means is you were raised right. Your parents taught you good lessons about how to treat people with respect, decency, dignity. The racism or sexism thought chamber didn't load for you all the way, so you just treat people the same no matter what they look like or what they're equipped with. I've heard someone say that being morally lucky means you were raised to treat the janitor with the same level of respect you treat the CEO. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you should treat the CEO worse, but the fact of the matter remains. You treat people who can give you nothing with the utmost respect. Now, I bring this up to you today because a comic artist that I found on social media who goes by Geckowo recently published a comic talking about how when she was a child, she was transphobic. She did the attack helicopter jokes and stuff like that, and now she's trans. She has transitioned fully at this time, and this is something that, frankly, I find very common with transgender people. Usually, from what I've gathered, this is internalized transphobia. They don't want to accept what they are, and then as they've come to terms with that, they can actually fully realize themselves and move on from that. I can imagine that guilt can kind of weigh on a person. You spent a fair amount of your life belittling and mocking people because you didn't understand them. And now that your eyes are open, now that you're fully realized and aware of what's going on within you and around you, you want to try to make amends for that. Unfortunately, there are going to be people on the internet who hate you no matter what, who see this change that you've made and they'll call you a grifter. They'll say that you don't really believe this stuff, you just find this more socially acceptable to say the things you believe now. Personally, I do find it incredibly endearing when you have somebody who was raised poorly or who believed awful things have a proverbial come to Jesus moment and become a good person after the fact. Sometimes it takes a tragedy for that to happen to someone, and I would rather you not have to hit rock bottom before you can climb your way out, but sometimes that's what it takes for some people. All I could ask of you is to be gentle with the people that you meet. I don't want you to wash the feet of people who are nasty to you or anything like that, but when you have someone who's making genuine, concerted efforts to be a better person than they used to be, accept that. I would say congratulate them, but frankly, you don't need to congratulate someone who treats people like people. That's a basic foundational lesson for all of us to learn. That doesn't need to be congratulated, but I don't think you need to mock somebody or belittle them for having reached that point later than you did. Not all of us learn how to be people at the same rate. Some of us never learn how to be people. But for those of us who do make the journey, all I can say is I'm glad that you finally made it to the other side. I'm glad you can start helping other people. And I hope you take the time to guide some people out of that darkness that you were in. That's the most important part of having these kind of folks on your team. They give you valuable insight into the inner workings and the machinations of what those people actually believe, why they believe the things that they do, how they could have been raised to cause them to believe such heinous things. It makes it easier for you to deprogram someone if you choose to take that option. And maybe deprogram's the wrong word. You shouldn't be trying to force anybody to be a better person. But if you can see that someone wants to take that step themselves, all I would ask you to do is to reach out a hand. Try to be kind to everyone you meet, even if it hurts you. But I've got a link to Gecko's profile in the description of this video. You should follow her. You should give her your money so she can keep making these comics. They're not syndicated or serialized or anything like that. They seem like slice of life stuff, conversations that she had or stuff that she's seen on the internet. So if that interests you, by all means, keep up with her work. But until the next time we have a young transgender person talk about how they used to be a shitty person and everybody wants to jump down her throat, y'all have a good day.